Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MCDFNL Footy Show for another week. Back after the interleague break and raring to go. We'll bring you all of the results from the weekend's Worksafe AFL Community Championship games and have a look at round 6 in the MCDFNL this weekend. I'm Sean Kelly. Joining me as always, my good friend and co-host Sammy Gower. Sam, welcome back, mate, and pretty good weekend on the interleague front.
Yeah, very good weekend for the MCDFNL. One of their more successful weekends in recent years, Sean.
Yeah, certainly was. And talking point number one is exactly that. The MCDFNL getting up and winning the interleague game against the Horsham and District Football League on the weekend at Princes Park, 16-13-109 to 8-13-61. The boys in charge from the first quarter and didn't look back from there.
Yeah, no, it was a good game. Horsham hung with the MCDFNL probably up until half-time, and then the MCDFNL really kicked away for probably their most impressive interleague win that they've had maybe the last 4 or 5 years, Sean.
And look, I think it's obviously Luke Tracy having his second year in now and going through it once and playing a fairly good team last year and learning a few things. I reckon what they've taken this year is that he's taken that approach and he's had kind of the full 12 months to work on it. Even though he was only appointed earlier this year, he could draw back on that experience, get a good coaching staff around him, and getting some buy-in from the players as well and getting some of the league's best players involved this year really made a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was probably a more balanced squad this year, maybe not massive big names from each club, but just blokes that are going to do their role and that Luke knew he could rely on, and they certainly got the job done on the weekend.
They did indeed. Great to see, and great to see Justin Laird back in the league this year and was the standout player on the weekend across the back line, winning the AFL Victoria Country Medal for the MCDFNL, and from all reports, a fantastic job done on a fairly good player in Kane Robbins as well.
Yeah, Kane Robbins, people might know him from his stint with Eagle Hawk a few years ago in the Bendigo Football League, and a very, very good player. So Justin's done extremely well to shut him out of the game.
Yeah, he has indeed. But you also look at a good spread of goal kickers as well. Obviously, Cody Driscoll and Murray Bond, the major goal kickers on the day. Cody continuing that really good form that he's shown this year, and it's his second year in a row where he's really impressed and really stood up for the interleague game as well. Yeah,
this year he's been playing out of his skin, as we've seen, kicking 15 goals a few weeks ago. And we did tip him to be the X factor, I think, on last week's show, and he certainly proved that on the weekend. Murray Bond, 3 goals as well, and Lockie Cameron from Natty kicking 2 as well.
Yeah, the big source. Earlier in the week, wasn't 100% sure if he was going to play, but he did get in and played it very, very well. And just a really good team effort across the board as well.
Yeah, it certainly was. Luke Tracy be happy with the buy-in, like you said, from all the players. They keen on the training track and certainly keen on Saturday. With
the rankings now, of course, looking at, there was no kind of official rankings this year because it was the first year of Metro teams joining in the competition as well. So if we look at the MCDFNL, the ranking sits at number 28 at the moment, which if you think a couple of years back, I think, hang on, we were 24 a couple of years ago. You bring in 7 or 8 Metro leagues, that's a pretty good spot to be. At the moment, as it's fixtured, it's the Ellenbank and District Football League that could be taking on next year that I think it was a pretty familiar foe from a couple of years ago as well.
It certainly was, and I'm sure LT will be out to get revenge on them should he get the gig again next year.
Yeah, he will indeed. And also our second talking point, staying on the interleague theme, our under-18 team, that was one of the more impressive performances from an underage side that many people have ever seen. A huge, huge win, 160-point style kind of thing. Tell us a little bit about that game.
Yeah, massive game, and one that would have senior interleague selectors pretty impressed for the next few years. I guess you'd say 29 goals from the under-18 sides. Aidan Jens from Carisbrook booting 11, Jai Mortlock 5 goals, and Riley Bibby from the bar kicking 4.
11. You don't see people boot 11 in interleague games. You don't see teams score 29 goals in interleague games. That is just a phenomenal performance, and you can see the advantages of Riley Bibby and Jake Keogh, 2 of the best players, 2 of the kids that played at AFL Goldfields level last year at under 17. So that experience is really helping them at this higher age group. Ben Butler, who's played some really good underage footy at Carisbrook as well, taking his chance and getting named amongst the best players. Jai Mortlock kicking 5 goals as well. So some really, really good signs for the competition with that win and the kids that are coming through.
And a few of those kids have been playing senior football this year. We know Riley Bibby's been playing very good football for Navarre. Jai Mortlock's been playing seniors for Natty in the last few weeks and kicking goals. So we can see those development plans.
And Aidan Jed's kicking goals for Carisbrook. The last thing they need is another goal kicker. They haven't got any space for him.
Exactly right. But you can see that development at senior level paying off for clubs.
Yeah, you can indeed. Well done to our interleague sides. The under-16 team also playing on the weekend, but didn't quite get the chocolates against a pretty good Horsham and District side. But talking point number 3 as we start to focus towards this week. It's a pretty big round in the MCDFNL this week. Indigenous Round, our annual Indigenous theme round every year, where we obviously pay respect and pay tribute to our Indigenous brothers and sisters that have walked the land before us and still walk the land today, and the fantastic things they've done, not just in football, but in the community as well. As always, the MCDFNL will honour the Indigenous theme this weekend. The record will be an Indigenous theme. You'll have the 4-page spread in the middle of the record, and a couple of clubs as well, Sammy, wearing Indigenous themed jumpers this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Talbot and Navarre are pulling on specially designed Indigenous Round jerseys this weekend, so it'd be very nice to see that from those two clubs.
Yeah, we'll indeed keep an eye on a little bit about that in the centre pages of the record this weekend. I believe the Maryborough Advertiser might also be sniffing around it, so you might see something there on Friday as well, if the Chief of Staff is on his game.
Yeah, you might just have to keep an eye out for that one.
Yeah, very good work indeed. Round 6 this weekend in the MCDFNL as we have a fairly interesting 2-week period, isn't it? Because you have the bye, and then you have 2 weeks, and then you have Queen's birthday off again. So teams can get caught napping during this time because some of them switch off. So it's a really, really important 2-week stretches. The ladder's in that stage where it's starting to take shape as well. So jumping straight into it, Campbell's Creek versus Avoca. I could see that you were struggling for something there, so I just kept going and rolled on as we do. We're starting to get to know each other well now. But Creek and Avoca down at Campbell's Creek. Obviously, Avoca up and about before the break with the win against Harcourt and a pretty good game against Royal Park as well. Campbell's Creek got a bit of a smacking just before the break at the hands of Harcourt and Carisbrook, so they'll be very, very keen to get back on the winners list. But they're back at home, and we know how hard they are to beat at the Cricket Dome.
Yeah, absolutely. We say it every year, Shaun, that Campbell's Creek are maybe a 5-goal better side at home, and I'm going to back them to get the points over Avoca this weekend.
Yeah, I think Creek just travelling that little bit better overall at the moment. Obviously, Avoca had 2 games before the break, both at home. Creek were both away, so they'll enjoy getting back onto their home paddock this weekend. Carisbrook versus Denali at Royal Carisbrook this weekend, and this will be a pretty good game of footy because obviously Denali, very, very good side this year. They've shown plenty throughout the course of this year. Obviously, Justin Laird doing some very, very good work in the interleague game last week, but Carisbrook, as we said before and as we said in last week's show, they are flying at the moment, going along nicely. Goal kickers galore, interleague representatives galore. Nathan Wright's not happy, so look for him to have a big game. He was very unhappy that he got stitched up last week, and I believe he's turning his attentions towards gathering some gossip on a former Lake Wendouree ruckman for us, so keep an eye on that one in future weeks. But Carisbrook should start this game as favourites, and my thoughts are that they'll be too strong in a game that they probably won't run away with until late in the game.
Yeah, before the start of this season, you would have penciled this in as probably an easy win for Carisbrook, given Denali's past few years. But I think this should be a cracking game. Carisbrook, but only just. Yeah,
it will be a very good game at the Carisbrook Recreation Reserve. And while you're there, check out the new scoreboard at Carisbrook as well. Saw that on the weekend. Absolute ripper.
Yeah, very nice electronic scoreboard out at Carisbrook now.
For the first time ever, Carisbrook fans will actually know how many points 5 goals 3 is, for instance, because you get the full readout there. Harcourt taking on the Maryborough Rovers at Sims Dental Reserve. Really important game for both of these clubs. The Rovers getting their first win before the interleague break. Harcourt going along okay, a little bit up and down this year, and they'll be very keen to get back on the winners list this week, but won't find it easy against the Rovers, especially now that they've got that win and they've got that bit of confidence.
Yeah, I'm sure Ross Andrews will want Rovers to keep their momentum going from before the interleague break, but Harcourt, a bit like Campbell's Creek, are a much different side at home, and I back them to get the points.
Yeah, Harcourt for mine as well. Navarre taking on Malden at Navarre this weekend, going number 47 in a row. Top side versus the bottom side, the undefeated versus the winless, and this could get ugly. Unfortunately, with all due respect to Malden and the Malden players and fans, this could be a long day for them.
Yeah, certainly could. Obviously, don't tip against Navarre at the moment. No. Just going along very nicely indeed. Grasshoppers for me, obviously. Hoppers
quite easily for me. Natty Bialaba taking on Trentham out at Natty Yellow. Good game. Good, has the makings of a very good game. Trentham much improved on last year, still with a little bit of work to do. Obviously came up against Navarre last game, and there's no shame in losing to Navarre. Natty going along quite nicely though this year, having a very good year and made short work of Talbot before the break. So I know which way you're heading, but why do you think Natty will win this game?
Probably just their undefeated streak so far, Shaun. They've got that nice bit of momentum up, but Trentham, I think, are probably the most improved side in the competition. Navarre certainly didn't blow them away the round before, so I think this should be a good game. Obviously, I'll tip Natty, but again, only just.
Yeah, Natty for mine as well, but look out for the Saints because they're playing some good football. Newstead taking on Talbot at the Newstead Recreation Reserve. Talbot, after a pretty good start to the season, fallen away a little bit against some good sides in recent weeks. They've got another good side this week in Newstead, who probably unexpectedly lost to Denali before the break as well, and they'll be coming out looking for some redemption. And this is almost a kind of a match of the round kind of game for mine, because I reckon this will be a really good game of footy.
Yeah, it should be a really great game. I'm sure Matt Smith and Dallas Biles want Talbot to bounce back to that form they had at the start of the season, and Nathan Webster will be keen to see Newstead get back on the winners list, which I'm going to back them in to do.
Yeah, Kangaroos for mine as well. And then Sunday footy this weekend in Maryborough Royal Park, taking on Lexington at Hedges Oval. And this is normally your kind of your battle of the Tigers. Is normally your kind of match around kind of thing. But I reckon that there's a little bit of gap between these two sides at the moment, as much as Matty Brown wouldn't want to admit it. His side probably not travelling as well as they have been in the last couple of years, where Royal Park are really, obviously they've been the improved side for the last 2 years, and they're taking that next step again under AJ Beecham, and I reckon they'll start pretty hot favourites in this one.
Yeah, they will, but I'm going to actually back Lexington in to get this one. I think
Explain, please.
Well, I just think they've got some quality players. Maybe that break, that interleague break, allows Matt Brown to maybe give a few blokes a rest that needed one. So I'm going to get them to bounce back this week.
Yeah, not me. Picking Royal Park, going along quite nicely at the moment, and really haven't given me a reason to tip against them, especially in this game against the Lexington side that have been a little bit up and down this year, and have, I suppose, been found wanting a little bit up against the bigger sides. That's us for the week, mate. Done and dusted. Great to have your company once again for another week here on the MCDFNL Footy Show, Mr. Gowers.
Always nice to be back alongside you, Shaun.
You can read some of your finest in the Maryborough Advertiser this week, as always.
Yes, probably.
Just penning some good stuff. Any idea of what we can expect in Friday's paper for the viewers out here that obviously love reading the Addy every week?
They'll have to buy it and see, but I'd say there will be something on those Indigenous jumpers, which should be a good read.
Very good, very teaser as well, isn't he? Just when you want his best work, go out and pay the $1.80 for it or whatever it is for the Addy these days. So get around that and get around us here on the MCDFNL Footy Show. We'll be back again next week with more from throughout the Maryborough Castlemaine District Football and Netball League. We'll see you then.